This is Steve Gadd, American drummer, percussionist, and session musician. If you're looking for one of the best known and highly regarded session and studio drummers in the industry in the last 50 years, along with playing some of the biggest acts and some of the most iconic drum parts of all time, you came to the right place. Now this video will examine the life and music of Steve Gadd. Welcome back to my channel. Stephen Kendall Gadd, born April 9th, 1945, is an American drummer, percussionist, and session musician. Gadd is one of the best known and highly regarded session and studio drummers in the industry, recognized by his induction into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame in 1984. Gadd's performances on Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover in 1976 and Late in the Evening, Herbie Mann's Hijack in 1975, and Steely Dan's Asia 1977 are examples of his style. He has worked with other popular musicians from many genres, including Simon Garfunkel, James Taylor, Chick Corea, Chuck Mangione, and Eric Clapton. Gadd grew up in Irondequoit, New York, not too far from Rochester. He started playing the drums at a very early age. At age 11, he entered the Mickey Mouse National Talent Roundup contest and was one of the winners. He won a trip to California where he met Walt Disney and appeared on the Mickey Mouse Club, where he played the drums and did a tap dance routine. Gadd graduated from East Ridge High School, then attended the Eastman School of Music, graduating in 1968. He was then drafted into the United States Army, where he served the next 3 years playing drums in the United States Army Field Band stationed in Fort Meade, Maryland. In 1968, Gadd made his first studio recording on Gap Mangione's album, Diana in the Autumn Wind. In 1973, Gadd formed the short-lived jazz fusion band L'Image with Mike Manieri, Warren Bernhardt, Dave Spinoza, and Tony Levin. Also in 1973, he started playing on numerous albums for the jazz label CTI Records, backing artists like Milt Jackson, Chet Baker, Art Farmer, Jim Hall, and Hubert Laws. Gadd played drums on the title track of Steely Dan's 1977 jazz rock album, Asia. The drum solo he played at the end of the song has become the stuff of legends, according to a 2019 Jazzit article, with its explosive tom-tom runs and crisp cymbal grooves. Other notable recordings from the 1970s are Van McCoy's hit The Hustle in 1975, Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover in 1975, Ricky Lee Jones's Chucky's in Love 1979, and Chick Corea's albums The Leprechaun 1976, My Spanish Heart 1976, The Mad Hatter 1978, and Friends in 1978. In 1981, he played drums and percussion on Simon Garfunkel's concert in Central Park. Gadd was a member of the Manhattan Jazz Quintet from its founding in 1983 until he left in 1987. The group has only officially released its albums in Japan and is best known there. Gadd toured the entire year of 1991 with Paul Simon. He recorded and toured with Eric Clapton in 1994 and 1996, and again in 1997 to 2004. 1997 also saw him on a world tour in a trio with a French jazz great, Michel Petrucciani, and his longtime band colleague, bassist Anthony Jackson. Gadd played on the blues album Riding with the King along with B.B. King, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Vaughan, and a few others. In 2009, Gadd returned to Clapton's band to play 11 nights at the Royal Albert Hall and was part of Clapton's touring band throughout May 2009. Also in 2009, Gadd reunited with L'Image, and the group performed at the Iridium Jazz Club in New York City, toured Japan and Europe, and released the album L'Image 2.0. Gadd has toured for many years with James Taylor. Since 2014, Gadd has played in a soul jazz trio, Blimshire Hammer Gadd, with four-time Danish Grammy-winning Michael Blimshire on saxophone and Dan Hammer on Hammond organ. Blimshire Hammer Gadd has released 4 albums. Gadd has written a book about the rudiments of drumming entitled Gaddaments, which was released on Hudson Music in 2021. Gadd's influences include Buddy Rich, Elvin Jones, and Tony Williams. As stated earlier, he has an honorary doctorate of music degree from Berklee College of Music in 2005, Grammy Award nomination, Best Contemporary Instrumental Album, Way Back Home in 2017, Grammy Award, Best Contemporary Instrumental Album, Steve Gadd Band 2018, Blischer Hemmer Glad, Danish Grammy Award nomination, Best Instrumental Jazz Album, Omara 2017. On a personal note, I have made the statement in the last year that Steve Gadd is the best drummer of all time. I will qualify that statement for this video and say he's my favorite drummer of all time. Now in front of me I have the top 10 drummers of all time. Number 1 is John Bonham from Led Zepp. I will say hats off if he's number 1, and that's what people say. All the drum magazines and all these other articles say that he's the best. Okay, I will go with it. Led Zepp, the album Led Zepp 4 is probably in my top 10 albums of all time. Also on that list is Neil Peart from Rush. Being a Canadian boy growing up listening to that band, the progressive rock, and what Neil did on that instrument, I can understand why Neil would be in the top 10. Listening to Moving Pictures back when it came out convinced me that this is an unbelievable group and unbelievable drummer. Buddy Rich, I remember growing up in the 70s and you would see him on the Mike Douglas show, the Merv Griffith show. You'd see him sitting in with the Tonight Show band with Johnny Carson. I loved his energy. Stuart Copeland's also on that list, drummer from the Police. I'm going to say very unique. I loved what he did, and he made that group. He was one of the 3 guys in that group, and they were all geniuses in their way, and they came together to make something awesome. Now, how do I come to the conclusion that Steve is the best drummer in my opinion? And I'm going to say that it's said that he is the second most recorded drummer of all time. He has almost 700 studio sessions and songs to his credit. When that happens, that tells me that the artist or whoever's in the studio making that decision about what drummer is going to be on the gig, they obviously think that Steve Gadd is one of the best. I can't argue with 700 producers or directors, songwriters, or studio guys that made that decision to bring him in on the gig. That just backs up my point of view that I think he's the best drummer of all time. If 700 other people made the decision to have him on the gig, there's 700 people that I guess would agree with me because that was the best drummer they thought there was available. Now I heard Simon and Garfunkel's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. That is an unbelievable, iconic drum intro by Steve Gadd that put him on the scene. He's played with James Taylor, Chick Corea, Chuck Mangione, Michael Franks, Al Jarreau, David Sanborn, George Benson. I've already done a number of videos on all these guys on my channel already. So what that tells me is a lot of people picked him to be on their gig. Number 2, the music that I am attracted to, that fusion of jazz, pop, rock, across all those genres, and the music I like, he has been the most used drummer on all those songs. As a result, that's how I back up my statement, that in my opinion, he is the best drummer of all time. If you've got another point to back me up, pop it in the comments section. If you've got a point that's opposite to what I'm saying, pop it in the comments section. I'd like to hear. I hope you enjoyed this video on my favorite drummer of all time, Steve Gadd. If you've got a musician or band you'd like featured on this YouTube channel, pop it in the comments section. I'll make another video. Thanks for dropping by. Rock on.